Hello everyone, and welcome to my guide for Sidra in Brawlhalla.
Do what you want, cause a pirate is free. You are a pirate. You're a pirate.
Hey, brother. It's been a minute since
You are a pirate.
Sidra, I believe, was the first legend to introduce canon into the game, and I gotta admit, she's pretty fun. Plus, she brought the weapon into the game that causes bots to poop on me every now and then, so, you know, how can I not love her for that? By the way, this guide is for the updated canon in case you're wondering. There are also timestamps if you want to skip any part of the video. With that shit out of the way, let's talk about some character information, you know? Sidra uses a cannon called the Corsair Cannon and a sword called the Corsair Sword. Very creative names, I know, I love that shit as well. She has 6 attack, 4 dexterity, 6 defense, and 6 speed, and costs 5,400 schmeckles. Sidra skins are the original skin, blue Sidra, red Sidra, and the actually like cool or interesting Sidra skin, you know? These skins are super underwhelming. You pretty much are just investing in the hat or hair for the first two, or you're trying to be green for the other one. Maybe there's a good skin for her in one of the chests, but I honestly have no clue and I don't care enough to look into it. Speaking of things I don't care for, here's the lore for Sidra. Read it if you care. I don't. Fun fact though, Terros was like the OG crew monster for Sidra, which is cool, I guess. Now let's talk about canon. As always, we're going to go over the basic canon combos and strings in case you don't know them. If you're confident with canon, go ahead and skip to the timestamp shown right now on the screen. Click it, you know? And also there's like a little, the timeline thing, you know, just kind of shows timestamps now, because YouTube did that. So you can click that too. I don't know. You know, just whatever suits your fancy. Before we get into combos and whatnot, I'm going to explain a few basic terms in case you're unaware of them. Combos are attack chains that you can't dodge out of, while strings are attack chains that you can dodge out of. Combos are also referred to as true combos, which is further emphasize the fact that you can't dodge out of them, because sometimes you can like frick up your combo and they can dodge out of it, so sometimes you gotta, you know, practice the combo so you can get it true. You know if an attack chain is dodgeable if there are dodge frames. Dodge frames are the amount of frames that the other player had to dodge out of the attack chain. 1 to 3 dodge frames are still decently hard to dodge out of, while above that is reasonably easy to dodge out of. And I'd say like 10 plus is just, like if you spam dodge, you can dodge out of it pretty much every single time. Spot dodging is where you dodge in place, and gravity cancel is where you spot dodge in the air, giving you a brief attack window to use abilities you can only normally use on the ground. The best way I can really describe this is kind of like you pretend like you're on the ground for a second. I don't know. Also, you know, you can just watch the clip I'm showing right now, but you know. Dodge reads refer to the attacks that are used to predict how the other player is going to dodge and punish them for it. Sigs, also known as signature abilities, are the heavy attacks in the game that are different for every legend in the game. It's what differentiates the legends besides the weapons and stats. That's it for the terminology I'm going to use that isn't self-evident, hopefully. Let's get into the combos. Let's start with combos with downlight. Downlight down air is useful when you are near an edge and you want to hit them downwards. Downlight side air's purpose is hopefully pretty obvious. It hits them horizontally. Next here are combos using sidelight. Sidelight side air. Sidelight downlight can be combined with other downlight combos for even more fun, such as sidelight downlight neutral light, or sidelight down air neutral light. Sidelight side air is only like true sometimes whenever they're high enough damage, but basically think of this one as a string for the most part. At around orange damage or so though, you can string this with a recovery for a ridiculously busted ass string. So yeah. You can also do downlight down air if you're in the punting kind of mood. Next, here's neutral light. Neutral light side light is pretty much the opposite of the previous combo, not much really to say about this one. Neutral light seems like a meme combo, but it works a surprisingly like large amount of times for being neutral light, which a useful string is neutral light down air because it can also punt people from the other side of the map, and to be as toxic as possible, do downlight neutral light down air. Side air is useful for engaging an enemy in the air to the side of you and if they're on the ground. It is also useful for dodge reads. Here are the combos. By the way, these only work, or at least are true, when the other person is on the ground, you know, just gonna mention that real quick. Side air downlight. You can also do side air downlight neutral air at higher damages to do more damage, you know. Side air sidelight. As I said before, this is also useful as a dodge read since there's a lot of attacks on cannon that cause the other person to fly upwards a bit. Down air is an even better dodge read because it just catches like everything after a combo. It's crazy. And even if they do dodge out of it, it isn't exactly the easiest thing to punish. Just because you're cute, here are a couple fun little, zero to deaths. By the way, make sure you land on the ground during the string at least once so you don't accidentally kill yourself. By the way, I just realized I forgot to mention that you can string a million downlight down airs together if you want the easiest way to cheat someone who has, like, no idea what cannon does. That's all for the basic cannon combos and strings. Now, let's talk about the signatures. Neutral light causes Sidra to fire a cannonball that does around 25 damage per shot. Look, there's a reason why even pros spam this sig. Are they pros? They don't really make enough to, like, earn a living from this game, so, like, brawl part-timers? I don't know. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that this sig is nuts. It's not necessarily because of its strings, but because it's just that good at poking people. It's fast, it's safe, it's amazing, If you were to use a single sig from Sidra, this is the sig to use. It's that good. Use it. The end. Here are the strings for it. Downlight neutral sig. And that's it. As I said, the sig is very not good at stringing people. A fun thing to do against people ledge guarding is to gravity cancel neutral sig on the ledge, and then you can potentially hit the person on the ground. This is pretty risky to do though because of, the stun frames after you sig, but I do it for the memes. Side sig causes Sidra to snap a cannon into existence somehow below her, and then after a brief moment she jumps off of it, dealing around 13 damage, and fires her cannon for around 15 damage. This sig doesn't have very much range, so I'd use it very rarely unless you are extremely confident you are able to land this shit. Sidelight side sig is a pretty mediocre dodge read at best. Downlight down air side sig is a much nicer dodge read. It punishes spot dodges and outward dodges. Neutralite side sig is a spot or outwards dodge read for side sig. It's pretty inconsistent because you have to hit it with the end of your neutralite for it to land. Down sig causes Sidra to unleash some tentacle things underneath her, catching people for 9 damage, and then fires her cannon for 17 damage, sending the player flying upwards for some reason. Honestly, this sig is so close to being good, but it just isn't. It's still a pretty decent sig, but why does it shoot people up? This sig could be a fun-ass ledge guard, but no. Instead, it basically saves people because it shoots people upwards for some reason.
Explain that to me. Why does it do that?
And the only real reason to use it is to dodge read inward dodges or, something that is a little more interesting, I guess, is punishing signatures that only move in a straight line horizontally. So say Scarlet's Lance side sig, if you know what I'm talking about. Strings include downlight down air gravity cancel down sig, neutralite down sig. This string is actually really nice, at least for a down sig string, since it has a pretty low amount of dodge frames. This is a very much stringable string. Downlight down sig is a nice bait, I guess. Higher dodge frames than the previous combo, but it's still pretty nice. It's especially useful as a downwards dodge read. Side air down sig is also very nice. My personal favorite actually kind of string for this ability that uses more than 2 different attacks is downlight down air side light down air gravity cancel down sig. It has a lowish amount of dodge frames and it's actually good. I don't know. For dodge reads, you have downlight down air down sig. This, the other sig I'm going to mention right after this one, wow, crazy concept, is for inwards dodges. Down air side light down sig is the other, cute little one I was talking about. This was my first time I had an excuse to learn cannon, and honestly, I like it way more than I would have imagined. It's essentially a lance with a bit of gauntlets thrown in there for some spice. The main drawback to cannon is that it's easily punished and has low range. This makes guns particularly a nightmare for cannon since it's much faster and outranges it in pretty much every way. Lance is also tough because of its better range. A lance player can just spam down air and you're pretty much helpless. If you are aggressive, that is, If you're passive, lance is even more punishable than cannon, so you can try to bait out a lance attack and then punish it with a safe cannon combo. When not playing against a counter, you're going to want to fight on the ground as much as possible, as the vast majority of your damage damage will come from that. To incentivize your opponent to stay on the ground, pressure them with neutral sigs and follow up with rather a downlight or sidelight combo. If you're going against someone who is floating, it's going to be a little bit tougher. Try your best to chip them with neutral air and side air since you are very weak in the air during the neutral game. Once they get it low enough, try to land a string or combo that will punt them off a ledge and finish them off, you know, if they don't die, because nobody dies in this game, with a down air or side air. I never mentioned ground pound somehow, but it's pretty good. Like, it causes Sidra to kind of, well, not Sidra, but just Cannon in general. It has like this kind of like AoE effect, but it's a little bit slow and a little hard to land. But, you know, it's still pretty good, but extremely situational because it's slow, as I said, you know. So I'd stick with down air instead. Now for, you know, the other weapon that Sidra has, which is sword. Once again, I'm going to do the thing where I talk about sword first before actually getting into her sigs. So if you don't care, skip ahead. Downlight has the most follow-ups out of all the sword attacks, but is consequently really difficult to land and is decently easy to punish. Use this only when you are decently sure that you will hit it. Downlight side air is a true combo that is nice for killing people at really high damages. Downlight down air, I believe, does the most damage out of the downlight true combos. You can also use this to punt someone off of a ledge, but you won't kill unless they have high damage. Downlight recovery is another kill combo. Downlight neutral air is a combo with decent damage, but takes some practice to get used to. I find the best way to land it is to hold up and left or right at the same time to get it true. The reason to use this sig is to, well, hit them in the air, but you don't want to hit them all the way for some reason with recovery. I don't know, it's just a pretty decently easy, like, well, at least it's very consistent compared to, like, recovery, which sometimes you can frick up and, just not send them anywhere. Downlight ground pound punts someone off of a ledge and kills pretty early, or at least earlier than downlight down air. Downlight gravity cancel sidelight is a spot and side dodge read, though it's not very useful because it doesn't do very much damage. Also, by the way, that ground pound, you know what I was talking about? That's not true. So that's like the drawback of it, you know, I forgot to mention that. Downlight gravity cancel neutral light works as a spot dodge read. You can also do these basic downlight combos together like so. Downlight down air gravity cancel neutral light, downlight down air side air, downlight down air gravity cancel light recovery. This is probably the earliest kill string that doesn't use sigs. If your opponent sucks dicks, you can also do downlight down air side air, dodge downlight down air side air. You can also do side light into neutral light or neutral light into side light if that kind of suits your fancy. If you hit someone with a ground pound on the ground, you can follow it up with a recovery for a little cheeky extra damage boost type beat. Sword neutral light and side air are really good for edge guarding, so do that when the time arises. Now for sword strings and combos that use Sidra's signature abilities. Neutral sig causes Sidra to step back and then release a tentacle in front of her that catches anybody in range, dealing around 7 damage, and then slashes them for around 17 damage, sending them flying diagonally. This sig doesn't have much in distance, but it's a very tall sig, making it really good at catching people above you or on platforms. I find this best whenever someone's trying to recovery up a ledge because it just catches them, and I don't think there's any recovery that outranges that sig, so, you know. It's especially nice against something that's very telegraphed, like axe recovery, for example, or, you know, lance. This sig is very useful as a bait due to the small amount of activation frames of the sig. It honestly acts more as a normal down sig than anything else. At high enough damage, you can string the neutral sig with a downlight down air for a cheeky little punt. You can also just string it with downlight for a very good spot dodge read. Sidelight neutral sig also works if you sidelight very close to your opponent. If you only hit it with the end of your sidelight, you will miss it, so you kind of want to like travel with the opponent, if that makes any sense. Side sig causes Sidra to dash a surprisingly far distance in front of her, hitting anyone with her tentacle for 15 damage and her sword afterwards for 10. This sig has really good range and hit frames, so it has a ton of stun frames, so the sig really only works well for dodge reads. Some dodge reads include sidelight side sig, neutral light side sig, and downlight side sig. Down sig causes Sidra to move a ridiculous distance with an anchor, sort of picking up any player that touches the sig, hitting them for 5 damage and then slamming downwards for 20. This sig is really cheesy, especially if you're in gold and under where the opponent is more likely to not know what the range of this sig is. This sig can also be used to edgeguard and then kind of like climb up the ledge for a fun little surprise attack for anybody edgeguarding you. Just keep in mind that this sig is easily punished as well, besides the fact that you do a little bounce when you miss the sig and land on the ground. It sometimes causes players to miss the punish, but you know, I wouldn't bet on that working more than once or twice in a real match. A really nice string for down sig is downlight gravity cancel down sig, but it's hard to land consistently, so practice this one, you know? Practice! practice time, practice time. It has very low dodge frames for a sig string. Down sig is also the perfect distance to string it with a side light or a neutral light, but there's like no reason to use this practically, besides like a jump read, maybe? Sword is a very fast weapon that can at least compete with every weapon if you're passive enough. Although you can't really do any ridiculous off-of-map shit like you can with Scythe, Lance, or Cannon, it is very good at chipping away health and has very consistent punts that are really unlike any other weapon. You generally want to use your superior speed to hit before your opponent does and chip them down before you finish them off with a downlight ground pound, downlight recovery, or downlight side air, depending on your situation. Alternatively, you can kill opponents at lower damages by using one of the sig strings I mentioned, notably downlight neutral sig or sidelight side sig. You can also do down sig as a ridiculous punt off the ledge if you're able to catch your opponent off guard. Sword struggles the most against guns, lance, and spears simply because of range. Bow is the easiest to deal with since the main threat is downlight, so just like float, I guess. Though be careful to stay away from the upper right or left corner of bow players to avoid their neutral light. For lance, just bait out their stuff and punish them with side airs and whatnot, essentially the same strategy as cannon, but it's like a little easier to do due to its speed. The best way to deal with guns is to be as aggressive as possible or as passive as possible. For aggression, don't do it to the point of getting hit by sigs and whatnot, but if you remain close to your opponent with guns, they really can't do too much to you besides like jump down air, and if they do that, well, give up on being aggressive, I guess, and switch to ridiculously passive, since pretty much the only time you're going to hit them is if they mess up downlight or neutral light. In conclusion, Sidra is pretty good, as I said in my introduction. She's not as versatile as, say, Diana or Mordex, but she's still very good. I can say with reasonable confidence that she's the best cannon legend in this game, but I'll have to test out Onyx to see if that's true. For cannon, spam that neutral sig until it tilts the enemy to the moon and back, and then you find out that the bot is like mysteriously a better player than the person who just left, and take advantage of those ridiculous strings they can pull off with cannon. For swords, it's just sword. Not really much to say here besides it's fast and good, you know? But use sigs with some caution, as you should with any legend. And finally, just hook her up with some sigs, man. Come on. Really? She's got three skins? Maybe 4 if she has like a chest skin? Like, come on. Please? I mean, they suck. Come on. Anyway, I think I main Sidra now because she's way more fun than Lance.
And you, with your car.